Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel, Grounded in Purpose. My name is Kara, and in this video, I'd like to share with you some of my thoughts about the dangers of pride. If you haven't already, go ahead and click the subscribe button and make sure that you check out some of my previous videos. So if you were able to watch my last video, I talked a little bit about motivation and why oftentimes it's not enough. In addition, I talked about how a lot of times it's really not an issue of motivation, it is an issue of self-control. And so while I was spending time with God and just working with Him with some of my issues when it comes to self-control, it was also revealed to me that self-control is not just self-control. It's usually a pride issue as well. And so I was just like, okay, God, I hear you. Tell me a little bit more. And so as I began to dig a little deeper, going back to self-control in itself is a choice. It's choosing to deny ourselves and to walk by the Spirit, or it's choosing to just go ahead and say, hey, I've got it. Because pride ultimately is saying, you know what, I got this. I know what's best. It's going to be better if it's my way. And it's very dangerous because we're denying God of His power. We often look at pride as like this positive thing because oftentimes pride is also a product of praise. So we have people that validate us and they tell us how wonderful we are and they tell us the things that we deserve, and we ultimately have this false sense of entitlement that comes along with that. And so those are some of the things that I kind of want to address in this video. The thing about pride is that pride creates barriers to our blessings. It distorts our reality and calls it truth. It blocks our level of discernment. It ultimately inhibits our growth with our relationship with God. And so it is my belief and my prayer that God really wants to deal with individuals in this area of their lives in this season, because ultimately God wants us to have freedom. God wants us to live a life of peace. He wants us to be able to walk into our purpose. He wants to be able to open up doors that no man can open up. He wants us to be a witness of Him, and He ultimately wants us to trust in Him and to seek Him in everything that we do. In my studies, I read Psalms 10:14, and it says, in his pride, the wicked man does not seek Him. In his thoughts, there is no room for God. And that is such a powerful, powerful statement. It's saying that when we are in pride, and I think it's important to note that pride is something that we are in. And once we are in something, we become a part of it. And so I think that's why pride can be so hard for us to pinpoint in our lives, is because it is a part of us. And it's kind of hard to look at some of those uglier parts of ourselves and to be able to bring those things to the forefront. But I assure you that God is a way maker and that God will reveal those things to you as long as you allow Him in your heart. Now, I don't know about you, but I want to make sure that I have room for God. And so I know that I had some cleaning of house to do with myself. I want to make sure that God has all the room that He needs. I want to get out of my own way. And I truly want for God's will to be precedent over my life. When I think about pride is correlated to so many things, but I feel like the root of pride in itself is fear. It is the fear of failure, so I won't try. It is the fear of the unknown, so I won't move forward. It is the fear of rejection, so now I seek man's approval. It's the fear of so many more things, but ultimately there is an element of fear that is often attached to pride. Now, I know some of you guys are like, okay, I hear you. I can see, how pride can be attached to fear, but what about the positive side of pride. And I want to note to you that even when we look at pride from a more positive perspective in regards of confidence, so, you know, having pride in your heritage, having pride in your culture, having pride in your accomplishments and the accomplishments of your friends and your family members, you know, that may not be seen as a bad thing, but even in that, we have to be careful that pride does not become our identity. I feel like a lot of times pride can give us this false sense of entitlement. Pride can also lead to this need for validation. And just to go a little deeper into pride giving a false sense of entitlement, it's as though we deserve. What a false level of entitlement ultimately does is it says that grace is not sufficient. It says that I have to do X amount of works to get X amount of rewards. And so when we don't see the works match up to the rewards, then now we're in an identity crisis. Now we're mad at God. Now we're broken. Now we're lost. Now we don't know what direction we need to go into our life because we felt that things were in our power. We felt that things were in our control. And when things get out of control, now we don't know where to go. See, a lot of times people think of pride as, you know, this inflated sense of self, right? And so we don't realize that even when we are critical of ourselves and when we don't see ourselves to be how God sees us, regardless if that's an inflated sense of self or a deflated sense of self, it is all very toxic. Because God sees us as perfect. God sees us as his image. And when we see ourselves as anything less or anything more, it can cause to be problematic because now we are defining ourselves based off of man's approval. Now I have to post my picture on social media and get so many likes or so many comments for me to feel like I'm worthy. Now I'm putting my worth in someone else's hand when God already told us that we were worthy. When God already told us that we were enough. When God already told us that we were wonderfully made. When God already told us that we were fearfully made. And so we have to be very, very careful and very conscious when we're dealing with validation and seeking of man's approval, because again, that is an issue of pride. And my last point is that pride ultimately is a trust issue. It's saying that I hear you, God, but I know that you told me this, God, but. And so because of the trust issues that we have with God, we want to preserve ourselves. And so because of the trust issues that we have with God, we go into this survival mode. We go into this mode of, I can do it by myself. I don't need you, God. I got this. So it is my prayer that we do not allow pride to keep us in our comfort zone, that we do not allow pride to keep us stagnant, that we understand that we are a reflection of God, and that in order to see a reflection, there must be light. God is the truth, God is the light, and God is the way. So we must continue to pray that God reveals to us the deeper issues that we house in our hearts. Lord, go to the places that we don't want anyone else to see. Lord, allow us to practice humility. Lord, allow us to experience peace and allow us to take you for your word. Thank you so much for taking your time to watch this video. If this video has been a blessing to you, please give me a thumbs up. Share the video, leave me a comment. I love interacting with you guys in the comment section, and I just really hope that you guys have a blessed year, and I hope that you guys are able to truly walk into your purpose this year and to truly be a reflection of God's light. Talk with you all soon. Goodbye.